dear friends on the path. Welcome to this bonus special episode that is a little bit different than the ones that's been preceding this episode. So, if you're new to this podcast, my name is Wazee, and I host this podcast together with Elin. It's called the Pearl Dialogues, and the whole focus is to explore the nature of reality and our human potential through the lens of the diamond approach. So far, I have had dialogues with about 10 teachers in this school. And today is a bit different because today I have a conversation with a student whose name is Dan Rasmuson. And this happened completely unexpectedly. I'll tell you a short story about how this came about. So a couple of episodes ago, I shared that I'd created a feedback form because I wanted to hear from the listeners, you, the audience, about your experience of the podcast. Dan filled out this feedback form, and at the bottom, he ticked off that he was okay with me reaching out to him to have a conversation about the experience, because to receive the feedback directly seems to land deeper within me. Dan responded that he was happy to join that conversation, and we met up and had such a deep and wonderful conversation, dialogue. And at the end of it, I felt that it was meant to be shared with the listeners. So that's how this came all about. And like you will feel very soon listening to this, it's a very friendly, personal, deep dive. Let's leave it at that. And one thing I want to give you a little heads up. At the beginning, I eat a bit of orange and drink a bit of water because, like I said, this was completely casual, unexpected. It was not planned to be an episode. It just happened that way. And now we're here. That's all I'm going to say for now. If you have any questions, never hesitate to reach out to welcome@yodacommunity.org. I will happily receive emails from you. And also, as always, I read your comments. If you feel inclined, please fill out the feedback form. And most likely, I will reach out to you at some point to ask for a conversation about feedback on the podcast. So all that said, as always, I do invite you to be present listening, feel into your arms and legs, listen with attentiveness and heart. And that's what's up. So enjoy this episode and I'll catch you soon. Woo! So tell me a bit about your relationship to the school.
So I've been a student of the school for about 2 years, and I started working with a teacher, Jim, from the Midwest group, and then I joined the Gulf Coast group about a year ago.
I hear you. And may I ask how old you are?
28.
Oh, sweet. Same age as me.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, man. Are you born in 94?
93, actually.
Okay. Yeah, I'm born in 94.
Yeah.
So you just turned 28 then. Now, how can you be 28 if you...
I'm actually 29.
Bro. Yeah, you must be... Something wasn't adding up here, man. Wonderful. And how do you find being in the school?
I love it. Yeah. I feel that the teaching itself for me is very illuminating, and it brings, generally it brings a lot of peace into my life. But also I feel that it brings me much closer to what's true. And those are different aspects of the school that I love.
Wonderful, wonderful answer. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of clarity in what you share. It's great to feel. So beside this, what is important for you in life? What is important for you in your daily life? What do you spend time on?
That's a good question. Um, hmm. Well, I mean, in some ways, it's all kind of important to me, but there are different categories of my life that we could say. Um, Work, relationship, and spirituality are kind of like three dimensions of my life that I'm very interested in. But I think probably the one that transcends all of it, I suppose, is truth, um, and a love of truth, and wanting to come deeper into what's true and real. And I think that is very aligned with the school, but it also kind of permeates all the different aspects of my life. So when I think about, you know, what I want to be involved in, what do I want to do? Um, I mean, there's a lot of aspects to it, but generally it's kind of like what's real for me, what's true for me. Um, and for me right now, it's really trying to deepen and come closer to what's of significance. Um, yeah, there's an aspect of the question that I'm trying to name, which is like I'm trying to give like I'm trying to give circles around what I find significant, but I'm having a trouble doing that because um, it feels like that's not yet my experience of significance. Is kind of the right way to say it, where it's like um, it feels very connected to me, and so it's hard to say it's this thing or that thing or this thing or that thing.
Yeah, so it's difficult to conceptualize as well. It's a
Yeah,
felt sense. Can you do you experiencing that as a felt sense?
I experience it as a felt sense, and then I ask myself, well, what is this felt sense?
Yeah.
Um, and then it's kind of and then it's everything. It's all the different parts of what's here.
Yeah.
And so yeah, so I think that's where I am.
Wonderful. I think that for me, that's a very good place to be. Sounds like
Yeah,
a wonderful place to be, my friend.
yeah,
In the sense that I hear again and again how your love for the truth and the orientation towards truth and how you've come to value truth in the way that you do. And for me, this is one of the most precious things we can awaken to in as human beings, that can activate in us that love for truth and that seeing the significance of truth. And then you also reflecting or sharing that orientation informs all aspects of your life and your existence, and
yeah,
golden thread that
yeah,
runs through all aspects of your life.
yeah. That is what I'm saying. Yeah, you're right.
Which I feel is a truly a something special for me. This is something special, and special not in an exclusive way, but in a fundamental way. I mean, it's very
Yeah,
significant. There's a lot of significance.
yeah, and that it's really true. The thread we're following is actually true. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. That does feel good.
yeah, it does feel good.
Yeah, it does.
Hmm.
What's here for you now, Wazee?
I feel happy on one level being here with you. I can feel the connection. I feel a sense of connection with you. I appreciate our dialectic field and who I become in contact with you. I recognize that as well, which changes from individual to individual, but I appreciate who I am
Right.
in connection with you.
Yeah.
And I also appreciate and value you like I said before, your clarity and also how what you shared and how I was able to assimilate that and mirror that back in a way that was accurate.
Yeah, that felt very good. Yeah.
Yeah, and which speaks to our connection, and it speaks to yeah, what's here, and that does feel very good. So I feel a lot of happiness emerging from that, a lot of joy, and simultaneously I'm also in touch with a sense of relaxation and flow. So all the words and everything that's coming out is simply flowing out. You know, it's a sense of
Yeah.
freedom of expression, feeling creative, and still that there is this intelligence at play.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm giving space to see if there's any more questions, but I really enjoy the space itself. I mean, there's a part of me that thinks that we have to get to somewhere, or, answer something to help the podcast and whatnot.
Yeah.
But there's a I don't know. I really enjoy being here with you beyond all of those needs, desires, movements, which is fun.
Me too, Dad. Me too, man.
Yeah.
That's the reason I haven't asked any questions yet, you know? I'm just hanging out. Like fun. You just see what arises, you know, giving space to what it is.
Yeah.
Another element that I feel very explicitly is friendliness. Is the sense of friendliness that is in the space and how it was in me.
Yeah, I think that's true. I feel that too. Yeah.
And how that allows or invites for honesty, feeling comfortable, hanging out, not having, also getting space, or you could say transcending an agenda. Because usually, if you're with a friend, like a true friend, there is no agenda. You just like hanging out, basically.
Yeah, that's a good way to say it. That's a good way to say it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You just enjoy being with one another.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just admiring how the space feels different for me now than right before our call. And it's kind of like nothing immediately around me has changed from my physical world, but at the same time, I feel moved a bit, where it feels like I'm much more open and I'm much more landed in a way where it feels like here I am. And there's a sense of, you called it like free flowing, that I feel as well, which is like, it feels effortless to be myself right now. Which feels very lovely. Yeah. And the part of it that's the hardest for me, or that I feel some resistance or some challenge, is the part of me that wants to move into the agenda. And as I feel that, I feel like kind of some space that comes up and it's red. Feels very nice to just be with it, though.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, your inquiry touches me. I really enjoy hearing you speak and share your truth.
Thank you, Wazee.
I am curious though. Where is it coming from? That sense of agenda. What is the? Where
That's
is
a
it
good
coming
question. That's a good question. That's a good question. Um, it feels like by not having an agenda, I'm taking up a lot of space because it feels like what you want from me is some sort of information exchange. And so by not giving that to you, by just being something else, that I'm somehow hurting you or like I'm pushing myself upon you. And I'm afraid of taking up that much space where I'm not stepping into an agenda. Rather, I'm just being here with you and enjoying it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very clear.
Yeah.
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 So you have to be useful somehow. There is a kind of an attitude
Yeah.
to be
That's
useful.
right. That's exactly right. That's
Yeah.
exactly right. Yeah. I want to be useful to you right now. Or at least there's a part that wants to be useful.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's happening for you as you hear that, Wazee?
When I hear that, it actually warms my heart because on one, also see the benevolence in that. I also
Yeah.
see the goodness of heart that is in that agenda
Yeah.
of wanting to be useful. Obviously, from the perspective of the diamond, which we can dive into that in so many ways.
Right.
We can really trace that
Right.
connected to the parents, upbringing, and so forth.
Yeah.
Without going too
Yeah.
down into that rabbit hole, I'm just wanting to
Yeah.
honor that impulse or that pattern as well.
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's said well.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. I really appreciate seeing this part of me in this way right now because it feels like it's a very familiar part, but I feel a greater sense of clarity around that instinct to be useful, especially when I meet somebody for the first time or quickly after meeting someone. Less so once I'm kind of deeper, kind of once I have more history with them.
Can you elaborate on that last bit?
Well, like with my girlfriend, I'm less concerned about being useful to her when I spend time with her
Mm.
because it feels like the space is somehow evolved. But when I meet somebody for one of my first times, then I feel like it's almost an act of wanting to get to know them or wanting to become friends with them. It's like when somebody comes into your house, you give them the best chair or something like that, to that extent, where you want to greet somebody with helpfulness. Um, and I see that in a deeper way from our conversation now.
So beautiful. Yes,
Yeah.
I find it so beautiful, man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's so beautiful.
yeah.
Yeah. I feel a lot of pleasure.
Yeah.
I feel a pleasure in my spine. I feel pleasure in my torso. It's a substantial, dense form of liquid almost that is effulgent, subtly effulgent. And
Wow.
there's a warmth. There's a very deep warmth and basic goodness I feel in my body and in this field.
Yeah, for me, I feel kind of the loving light that's in the field, kind of like a warm, kind goodness. Um, and I also feel my heart, and it feels very awake and aware. And I feel touched by this human experience.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's one aspect of the podcast that I've really loved, is that it brings to light the human element of spirituality, which, before the diamond approach, I was in kind of like a non-dual school, and I had read other spiritual material, and there was such a cavity of humanness, that humanness constantly seemed like the part of experience that was transcended. And with the diamond approach, it feels like there's this deep allowing for all of experience to be as it is. And I've really appreciated how the Pearl Dialogues highlights that dimension.
wow.
Yeah.
Touches me deeply.
Yeah.
So direct.
Yeah. 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 It's very good. It's very good.
It's very good.
It's very good, man.
I mean, what you're saying is very good. That's what I was saying was very good. But you're speaking maybe towards the podcast. Or,
Yeah, that's
or
right. That's right. I am.
yeah,
That's right. I am. Yeah.
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 Mm. Yeah, how lovely to hear. So you feel and see the human element and how that is coming to expression. Is there anything is something that stood out for you that you remember that really touched you or moved you? Or is it more a general
Mm.
experience?
Yeah, I think that the previous space is kind of what draws me the most to the podcast. And then second of which is kind of the curriculum of the diamond approach. And I'm interested in learning more about that. But then kind of the qualities that I appreciate or I enjoy within each episode is seeing how each teacher holds different aspects in different ways, and I really enjoy seeing how they perceive the world and how they navigate very, kind of challenging situations where, you know, they feel really, Andres, he had a moment where he talked about how he opens to like the deep pain that he sees in the world, and it's like a dagger, and like as that dagger comes in, it opens his heart more. I think that was in one of the Pearl dialogues, and that was very sweet for me. And just each teacher kind of brings a different lens or a different perspective, that it helps me see the teaching, the diamond approach, but it also helps me kind of connect with, like, it's kind of like how to actually be spiritual in the world. Um, and it's really helpful for that.
Mm. How to be spiritual in the world.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what it feels like to me.
So golden.
Yeah.
That is so golden. That is
Yeah.
so golden, which is one of the tenets of the diamond approach, in the world but not of it. So,
Yeah.
it really
Yeah.
speaks to that.
Yeah, it does. You're right. Yeah, now what I'm feeling is like um, a sense of coming out, I guess. Um, I could also call it like a vulnerability that's emerging. Um, but it's really appreciating how seen I feel, um, in the sense that one of the aspects of the diamond approach that I find challenging is that it's like I'm not often able to be seen in this way, because of the way that the diamond approach holds reality, is not a way that a lot of other people do. And so that aspect of joy mixed with some loneliness, I think, is coming up for me now.
And that seems to move you to tears. What's the tears about?
The tears are a sweetness of how it feels really good to be here, but it's also a sense of I'm not here very often in this way. And so it's kind of like remembering something nice.
That touches me so deeply, my friend. That touches me so deeply.
Can you relate to that in your own life?
What I can relate to, first and foremost, is how much I appreciate this space and the richness that is here between us, the richness that is infusing or saturating our connection, this moment in time, and how also seen I feel, the sense of connection I have with you. And I feel this is a direct expression of the pearl. I can feel your being, like your pearliness is coming through so strongly, and I'm feeling your soul, and it touches me on such a deep level.
Yeah,
it's even hard for me to conceptualize it, the amount of significance that I feel in this moment. So I feel a sense of significance, but I would say it's greater than significance. It is preciousness. So I feel value. The aspect of value is present, and still with the word value, I feel that is too limiting to describe or to illustrate the magnitude of what is happening for me.
Wow. Yeah, can you describe that more? That magnitude of value?
Yeah, so the first word that comes to me and something that I'm in tune with is the preciousness, the beauty of the truth that is being expressed in the space. The vulnerability, that the space of allowing the invitation to come forth as we are in a way that is truthful, in my experience and my perception, honorable, because it is an act of honesty. And to see and meet your soul, I feel a lot of sweetness. I feel a sweetness in my heart that is in of itself a nurturance. I mean, it's a kind of nectar of sweetness. And the reason why I say or use the phrase order of magnitude is I don't feel any one word could encapsulate or really, yeah, perhaps encapsulate the significance of the experience. I use the word significance again and again and again without feeling that no one word is able to truly contain or to truly, in a full way, express how meaningful this is to me, being here with you and witnessing and experiencing what is happening.
Thank you for saying that. Yeah, that's helpful. I feel that I'm kind of more in touch with where you are and what you're experiencing. Yeah, I have a curiosity still. I that's in the space because it's like kind of the breadth or the depth of that sense of preciousness and significance that you're feeling in this experience now. It's like I feel I feel, what's the word? It's kind of like a shade or a piece of that significance. Um, but I'm drawn to your experience because it's like I want to uh, open more fully to where you are, but also to what's here. Um, and it's like the part that I'm uh, moving deeper into is like where do you feel we are right now? Like what is this place of significance that we're in? Um, feels like a near question to it.
What comes for me is the land of truth.
Yeah,
It's the land of
yeah. That feels very good because as I hear that, I realize that you're seeing me as I am. And so that's the part of me that feels so valued in being seen.
Mm.
Yeah. Because what I'm realizing in our conversation is that I often struggle to be myself. And it feels very empowering to say that. Um, and it also feels so, um, I think core is the right word, but it feels very, very much in touch with kind of with what this podcast is all about in like a real way, where it's like people are coming into a deeper connection with themselves. Yeah, that feels very good.
Yeah, and I really appreciate the question you asked around what is this space of significance? And then I responded, the land of truth. And it feels so clear. It feels so,
Yeah,
I mean, there's just no question about it.
yeah,
And yeah, I also in that feel your intelligence. I mean, so when you see that, you say that you see, I see you, and you feel seen, I feel I genuinely see you.
yeah,
I see your light. I see your
yeah.
intelligence, and I'm so appreciative of it. It really is so refreshing, and mm, yeah, it's just fabulous. It's just fabulous.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel that. Yeah,
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 it's just fabulous.
yeah, yeah. And it's there's something about our connection right now which feels fabulous, which is that not only do I feel seen, but I feel I can almost see you seeing me. So it's like in the process of feeling seen, I also see you. Um,
Mm.
and I see the way in which you see me, which feels very nice. Yeah,
Again, that puts
yeah.
you deep in touch with that nectar of sweetness, the nectar of life itself, huh? Wow. How our
Yeah,
how our souls longs for this, huh? Longs for this
yes,
light, longs for this
that's
love.
right. That's right. That's right. That's right. That's well said.
And like you say, like you touch on, it's so rare that these spaces emerge with this depth of connection, this depth of honor, this depth of truth, being in the land
Yeah. Yeah.
where
Yeah.
truth is inevitable.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And mutually recognized, mutually
Yeah.
empowered and mutually recognized,
Yeah.
which also brings the element of mystery because we both see,
Right.
but we can't,
Wow.
it cannot be grasped.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. I feel that we're in such a deep place of connection and resonance that I feel very far from my mind.
Mhm.
I feel that I'm understanding you at a deeper level, or one that I don't fully intellectually know. Um, and it feels very good.
Mhm.
Hmm. I'm really drawn towards a curiosity of it's kind of I feel it in my stomach, but it's a sense of how have we gone so deep so quick is kind of what it feels to me. And it's kind of referenced in what you talked about how the uniqueness, this space arising.
Hmm. How have we gone so deep so quick? Yeah, I felt it immediately when we connected in the space. For me, my
Mm.
soul immediately opened in the field, and I felt that I feel it in some sense when I meet people one to one. I see it as a trinity. So we come together, and I'm really in touch with your availability, your receptivity, your curiosity, your innocence somehow, and that brings forth my brings me,
Mm.
like I said, I appreciate how I manifest with you, and I feel that is something we co-create.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, so you feel me very quickly. Even at the beginning of the call, you immediately start to sense what it's like to be with me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
imme-
Wow. That's a very yeah, yeah. So Wazee, how have your you're very in touch with yourself at a very subtle and spiritual level. Do you feel um, that depth of perception has always come naturally to you, or do you feel that you've that's been a development for you in your life?
100%. I would say a development.
Mm.
Because when I was age 20, I was fully in the conventional, my ordinary self, my super surface level self, and fully identified.
Wow,
So
wow,
it's been a journey over the last, yeah, 7 years of, and I feel the qualities that's driven that is what we've been touching upon in this conversation. I mean, one thing I also appreciate with you is your very genuine sincerity. I feel that.
yeah,
I feel your
yeah,
sincerity. I feel your
yeah,
curiosity, and these
yeah,
qualities I find in myself as well. And also,
yeah,
I would say that there in all of it there is an element of courage in really coming forward. Like you said
yeah,
earlier, I can feel myself coming forward, and that forwardness and really leaning into life, giving giving due to the aspects that are truly important. So to give emphasis, to give voice, to give name to what is real, what is significant, also when it's challenging, and to consistently show up, I feel, in life,
Mm,
consistently show up to all the most important things in life.
mm. Wow. Wow. Yeah. I'm feeling very deeply acknowledged. It feels like somehow you're experiencing me in my bones. Um, and it feels very revolutionary, is I feel the right word, where I feel my it's like my thirst feels quenched, um, and it feels very nice. Um, yeah. So yeah, thank you for mirroring me in that way. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, the moment when you speak, a flower blooms in my heart. Like a sunflower blooms in my heart, expanding in all directions, celebrating this moment. It is like
Right.
so, and speaks to the preciousness. I say, the sunflower just opens up and like celebrating,
Wow.
like, wow, fantastic, because there is such a magnitude of depth to this exchange, to this
Yeah,
meeting, right?
there is. Yeah,
I
I feel that. Yeah, I really feel that. What I'm feeling now is it's almost like this. It feels like a movement, um, but it feels like I'm being held. But then, almost in the same instance or in the same way, um, it feels like I'm coming out. Is another way to say it, but it. I mean, that sunflower I felt was a good example, because that's what it feels similar to me, which is it feels like in an emergence, an unfoldment, um, and it feels like there's a real sweetness about it that I'm kind of tasting, or that I'm a preciousness is arising for me, um, which is the preciousness to just have this experience with you, um, because it feels like there's a part of me that is, I would say it almost feels like a rejoicing, and it feels very tender when I say that. Um, but it's a part of me that um, it feels like I'm with you as myself, um, and it feels like I'm. It feels like I'm knowing myself by being myself, is the right way to say it. And so, what I find in that space of knowing myself by being myself is a sense of self realization, where it feels like I'm realizing myself deeper, um, in more subtle ways, as I kind of feel myself here. Um, which feels like such a um, it's like a gentle reverberation of joy, where I just feel such a joy to be myself. Yeah. And what my mind is finding so remarkable is how unexpected this space is, how I really wasn't expecting to find this space right now. Um, and so it feels like hmm. Yeah, I mean, it really, I mean, the word actually is feels right, but it feels like a transformation. It feels like things are, I want to say unfolding, but unraveling in a way that feels, um, yeah, I mean, so many things, I suppose, but yeah. And now I feel that I'm experiencing a nearer depth to what I felt that you were describing earlier, where you talked about that depth of significance. Um, and it feels like to me that's closer to where I am, that there's some sort of unfolding of my heart that feels significant to me. Um, yeah. And I find myself wanting to, I'm finding myself very thankful for where we are. Um, what's here for you, Wazee?
Right now, I feel quite settled. A sense of natural depth that also feels that there is an element of being neutral. There is a sense of grounded heaviness. So I'm being pulled towards the earth. There is a calm and a spaciousness. And then I get the memory of what you just shared coming in. And I can feel like a subtle glow in my heart. As if there is a golden ray or a ray of light that pierces through blades of grass or through the petals of a flower or through a tree, the branches of a tree. So it's a subtle, delicate emanation and a glow in my heart space. I'm also curious about, in myself, really wanting to include all dimensions of myself, including any resistance that may be here, any suffering that may be here, any deficiency, weakness, superego activity. So I also feel how my soul is moved to a kind of inclusivity.
Mm.
I'm curious about that because I feel that is linked to some kind of aspect of essence actually when I tune into it now.
Mm.
So it both involves clarity, I would say objectivity, and the love for truth. I wonder if one of the holy ideas may be applicable here. Actually, there's several. Are you familiar with the Enya type or holy ideas, Enneagram of holy ideas, written by Almas?
Just a little bit. I am. Yeah.
Yeah. So what comes up for me is that truth is good. So by being truthful, that is a movement towards greater wholeness and a greater, more valuable experience of life, you could say. So in that, I feel the aspect of holy law coming through, which is one of the pillars, 9 pillars in the holy ideas, and also the holy idea of perfection in the sense that what is inherently perfect, which gives an added support in terms of being truthful, simply being truthful and completely
Yeah.
revealing.
Yeah.
And then holy omniscience comes through in the sense of allowing a totality of awareness to truly being available and receptive in a total way to the moment and to the full experience of now,
Yeah.
including all the details. And then I get the vision of holy origin, which is connected to source or where we originate, that a true nature, a true deepest ground of existence. And I'm reminded of your expression of knowing yourself by being yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So knowing through being.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in this space of depth, many principles of existence seems to be revealing themselves to me. And when I engage my curiosity and I engage my soul and and start this process of inquiry, I discover different facets of true nature or different principles of true nature.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how they link to this moment, how they manifest.
Wow. Wow. So you're knowing the different facets of reality as they come in and as they appear within the context of our conversation.
And also seeing
Yeah.
how they're implicitly here always. So
Yeah.
by opening my mind to, and also through the teaching given by Hamid, I'm able to discriminate the different ideas in my current experience of reality, and also seeing how they're intrinsic but often can be obscured, or when one is not in the land of truth, they feel distant or not applicable, but in reality they're always there. One is just
Right.
disconnected.
Right. They're not perceived.
There's not perceived, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm.
I'm curious how this lands in you, what's happening in you, and
Yeah. Well, I'm holding the holy ideas, and um, I'm just feeling the structure of what you talked about, of how it felt like um, you were perceiving that in the context of the space, and I was drawn to that perception, and so uh, there was a part of me that was thinking about the book that he talks about those in, and I was drawn to that. And in my body, um, I'm feeling a clearness, um, and almost a subtlety. Um, and I'm also feeling, kind of in my mouth here, a sense of continued responsibility, um, that feels related to um, providing feedback about the Pearl dialogues.
mm.
Um, and there's another place that was here that I was feeling that was related to um, some sort of fear around if it's okay to be so seen. So that was kind of the field of my experience. Um, and I'm feeling a settledness right now, that feels, it feels like a type of trust, actually, that I feel that I'm trusting our conversation is the way that it's supposed to be. Um,
For me, that brings to awareness the vehicle of the diamond vehicle of diamond guidance.
mm-hmm.
How that there is a high, I feel there to be a higher intelligence that is working between us and
Yeah.
ushering us into conversations and exchanges and so on. And for me, this
Yeah.
speaks to the sense of trust and allowing, not controlling the experience, allowing everything to unfold, simply being with the flow, being the flow, and everything just happening so naturally, so effortlessly. Just being
Yeah.
honest, being without planning.
Yes. Yes. That feels good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a truly luminous space, and also I want to mirror back what you shared earlier. Again, you said knowing by being, and the attunement or the self-realization that became apparent in that space, in that moment.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And the gentle joy that you mentioned, the hum of joy, which I can
Yeah.
imagine so satisfying, so intrinsically blissful, and without being overly expressive,
Yeah.
overly gross, but just a very deep hum of joy
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
appreciation at the depth,
Yeah.
at the deepest depth of one's being,
Yes. Yeah.
rippling out to all aspect of oneself.
Wow. Yeah. That said so well. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And
Yeah.
again, I am so struck by the connection here. I mean, the Trinity that is manifesting between us. And when I say Trinity, I mean me, you, and what is created in our meeting. That's another
Ah,
that's another unit, you could say.
yes. Yes. It's like our combined unfolding is producing something within itself.
Yeah,
Is that what you mean?
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like many say that um, a collective is bigger than its individuals. So that individuals make a collective which creates a new form that becomes the collective, an organism of its own volition, of its
Wow.
own
Wow.
momentum, and its own
Wow.
characteristic
Wow.
that cannot be created by one individual, but that constellation of individuals.
Wow. That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Wow. I mean, yeah, I am seeing many examples of that.
And again, you asked this before. I'm so struck by what is it that accounts for this level of depth. What I mean, because this doesn't happen often.
Yeah.
Like, what is it that
Yeah.
allows us to have this for true nature actually to manifest so fully in our meeting?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good question. Hmm.
I mean, there are some obvious answers to that, obviously. But one aspect of it, one dimension of it remains a mystery. Yet
Hmm.
there are clearly things which we have talked about already, touched upon already, when you asked the question earlier. But still, I'm amazed by it.
Yeah. Oh. Oh. Hmm. Yeah, there's something about the mystery that produces in me a type of praise. It's kind of a sense of witnessing something majestic.
Mm,
Um, yeah.
I resonate with that.
Yeah. And I feel this space in me that um, it's a conditioned response to majesty, but it feels like um, it's almost a fear, but it's yeah, yeah. What I'm seeing is that there's a part of me that's afraid because it feels like I might do something to ruin it, right? But in that, I notice a sense of perceived control. Um, and as I notice that, I feel a softening of the space where it feels like it is emerging. And it feels very nice. And I feel very free in its presence.
That's exquisite, my friend. That's exquisite. The aspect of perceived control. It's just so clear. It's like a
Yeah,
symphony. You know what I mean?
yeah,
When you share your
yeah.
truth in that way, it's like I receive it as a symphony. You know, a symphony of truth. It's just like, oh man, that's exquisite. Uh, and how the understanding then leads to the dissolution, or the dissolution of the contraction, or
Yeah, the
the
fear.
tension, the fear.
Yeah, yeah, that it opens to freedom.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not afraid anymore.
Mm.
Feels very good.
Yeah, and which shows also how your soul doesn't tag along with the reactivity of the ego, but rather remains in this condition of presence and in the condition of experiencing true nature.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, which is kind of for me right now, it's a subtle perception of identity that it's a dropping a deeper.
Please elaborate on your understanding experience of identity.
Yeah. Yeah. So what I mean is that I had this perceived experience of control. Oh, I'm not in control of this this situation. And then as I perceived the control dissolved, but I remained.
Hmm.
And so I realized that there's a deeper um, the essence of identity has a deeper home in being. And so as that, so that's my um, awareness of that process.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So clear.
yeah, yeah,
So self-evident. You know what I mean? It's
yeah,
beautiful.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, so clear, man. It brings, again, it highlights the curiosity around identity and the experience of identity in this very moment. What am I?
Mm. I loved the question in one of the episodes where you talked about, I know that I am, but what am I?
Mm.
That 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 has actually stuck with me. I remember that maybe once a week. So that's been part of my lived experience. That same question that I've heard from you. So, but returning to the inquiry, yeah, it's a good question.
Yeah. What comes up for me around it is, yeah, I guess it's a felt sense of being myself without that being a construct. I mean, there's a sense of being myself, and that myself can be located not in time and space, but in being.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. I see that. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I just loved your response to that. Oh, it's so great.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
How does it feel to see me see that?
It's a joy. It's a joy.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
I feel everything I'm speaking now is directly from being. Everything is just coming
yeah,
spontaneously, directly, and
yeah,
is
yeah,
infused with truth. And
yeah.
there is also this aspect of brilliancy, of seeing connections, synthesizing details, nuances of experience, nuances of reality, just coming one after the other. So, are you with?
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm with you.
So seeing you, just kind of something erupting, and it's who is doing it. You know, one can ask who is doing it, and there is
Yeah,
again, if I were to locate myself, I am doing it as a kind of ego or body mind, then that would make me contract, because in some sense there is no doer. Everything is simply unfolding, happening spontaneously. It's simply
Wow.
rolling, right?
Wow. Yeah, that's true.
So when something emerges and is spoken here, I am acutely awake to how that is received and your natural effort,
Yeah.
spontaneous response. And then I
Right.
recognize the details of your response, and then that creates a ripple in me,
Right.
and in that
Right.
particular context, that led
Yes.
to joy, and
Right.
you know what I mean. And this also brings the pearl dimension into view. The unique personalness in terms of our
Wow.
individual expression.
Yeah. I see that. I see that. I see that. Uh, wow. Yeah. I love the way that you talked about it. Um, I felt it a certain way in my body, which was that there's this like almost this unified liquid of being. And as I move, it moves you, and as you move, it moves me. But then there is this uniqueness, there is this personalness here. And then that personalness is being affected. And then that personalness ripples back to you. And I loved what you said about how um, that maybe who we are is this being substance that's beyond space and time. And and it just feels so accurate to me, because as I sense that, I just feel all the constructs of space and time and all the ways that we make sense of being.
Conceptualizing being.
The way we pattern it.
Yeah, and conceptualize it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then in that, I mean, the awareness, or the insight that is self revealing in that reflection is how, when we conceptualize being and remove, and in that process also start to identify with the concept, identify with the content, it
Yeah.
makes contact with the ground,
Yeah.
which again ushers in the other insight, the possibility of being embodied in being embodying true nature, and still thinking without identifying with the content, which is
Right.
I mean, from what I gather within the ancient Greek, is referred to as the nous, the divine mind, as opposed to the mind of the ego.
Mm. Yeah. What I find in me is like a degree of resonance, um, and also like some various aspects of what you're describing that are um, blurry to me in ways, specifically the aspect of how identity gets trapped within the conceptualizations, the patterning, and how being loses contact with itself. Um, I, it's like I, I, I have a familiarity with the process itself, and so I know that it has a personal truth for me, but I don't fully understand it yet. Is what I'm saying. So that's an aspect or part of what you said that I'm still working through.
So when you share that, I feel a lot of warmth in my heart, and
Mhm.
that has a golden glow. And the golden glow is linked to the truth that you speak, in the sense that you're speaking your truth as it is, your personal truth, and being so immediate, transparent, and direct with it. So for me, that really brings out or activates my heart.
Mm.
And that brings, again, an awareness of freedom, actually. The freedom of
Yeah,
having to know.
that's right. That's right. That I'm free to be where I am and you're free to be where you are and we're all free to be where we are. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One way in which I've conceptualized this is like if you imagine like a small child, like a 5-year-old, and they said, I want to grow up, I want to be big. It's kind of this it's this place where there's a certain taste and flavor wherever we are.
Hmm.
And like each part can be loved.
I
Yeah.
feel, I feel it also brings in the notion of wisdom and maturity,
Yeah, you're right.
because a mature view would include not knowing and see the value of not
Yes.
the natural integral dimension of not knowing, and how
Yes.
life is a process of continual discovery.
Yeah, you're
So,
right.
and in that there is a grounded, settled kind of freedom in seeing that truth, and then that diffuses or disarms the egoic mind, which is trying to fulfill or live up to an ideal or a standard or whatever.
Mm. You're right. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah, Almost described it very well at one point. It's related to what you're saying. He talked about how if our conceptualization of ourself, if our ego structure is more accurate to who we actually are, then there's like, and I don't quite understand this exactly, but there's almost a smaller movement between realization and ego identification. And so, in that, as we mature, our ego structures become more accurate to how things are, and then in that, to me it feels like there's somehow things feel more accessible.
Immediately, I get a response: closeness to truth. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
that's
closer
right.
to
That's
truth
right.
when the
That's
distance
right.
is less.
That's right.
It's more
That's
realistic.
right. That's right. And it's like uh, Andre said this, and I loved it, which was like if you imagine a glass of water, a thought of a glass of water, it can be very accurate to a glass of water, but it doesn't have necessarily the reality that a glass of water has. And so it was a beautiful way for me that I hold concepts because they lack the substance of reality.
Yeah,
Um,
they're hollow. Yeah, empty.
yeah,
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 but they point to something real, but
that's right.
the expression itself is
Yes,
cannot encapsulate the reality.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so I feel that now we actually are connecting a little bit to that question that I was posed earlier, which was I didn't fully understand the aspect of how we can get lost in thoughts,
Mm.
um, how we can get lost in concepts and get disconnected from our ground. And I think it really has something to do with self awareness because it almost feels to me like there's some aspect of um, it's like it. I don't quite know how to explain it, but it's like the glass of water. There is an awareness of the thought or the concept itself, which would be being. But then there is, and this part I don't understand, it almost feels like there's a looking through, like a perception. And that looking through, it almost has no substance to it.
Yeah, transparency.
Yeah. And so we lose ourselves in that way. But
can I share something on that?
Please do.
So I have something coming up, and for me it's linked to how everything is undefinable. Nothing can be defined. Definition creates boundaries, but when one allows a perception of not knowing and knowing and not knowing simultaneously, and also recognizing how every phenomena is fundamentally undefinable, it can become transparent as it is in of itself.
I part of what you said landed with me, and what I took or what I felt was that nothing's definable, and there's almost a reification that can occur, and in that reification, it's almost as if it's almost as if something's lost that's related to a definition.
Yeah, with the reification. I feel the mystery is lost. When it becomes reified, it's defined, it's known.
You're right. Yeah, the mystery is lost.
The mystery is lost. When it's undefined, the mystery is there.
Wow.
That's the transparency.
And so is that part of the reason why we get disconnected from being as we mature, is because we lose the mystery? And so we lose connection with being.
As we become adults, you mean? Or mature? What do you mean?
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I mean, as we become adults, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Everything becomes defined. How I see it, things becomes defined and boxed up, and we live in the world of boxes and definitions. And we lose awareness of the mystery. We lose awareness of the dimension of reality that shows us that everything is undefinable. Nothing can be packaged, fundamentally speaking. We can put labels and words onto things and conceptualize them, but we get lost in the concepts.
Wow. So what that means is that the quality of any spiritual teaching is the degree from which it frees someone into more not knowing, or to more of the mystery in some ways.
In some ways, yeah. And I would say an illuminated not knowing, an illuminated mystery somehow. That also comes to.
Yeah, well said.
You said you had some feedback on the podcast?
I've actually given a lot of it. A lot of it. A lot of it.
That was partially a joke. That was partially a joke. I know you've given a lot. You've given a lot. It's just been expressed naturally through our conversation.
Yeah, that's right.
It's clear.
That's right.
Anything else that you want to speak to or add or?
Yeah, let me see if there's anything here. Oh, I was curious why there's sometimes 3 people and sometimes 2 people.
Yeah. So different reasons. So originally, so how this podcast came about is I am a part of something called the Youth Council. And that's a council within the school that is focused on serving the young students, the new generation of students in the school. So I was at an event, and someone asked me to asked if anyone wanted to join the youth council. Immediately, I felt moved, and after that opportunity came about, I got this insight or this inspiration. Wow, maybe I can do a podcast. That would be amazing. Because I was thinking, what projects can I engage? What can I do within the youth council that would be engaging? And then this view of doing a podcast, interviewing teachers, having conversations with teachers came up, and it was well received by the council. So I thought it would be better to have more people on the team. So I flagged it out on another event, and then Elin said she wanted to join. So we started to collaborate on the podcast. And we did a trial, a pilot. So the 3 first episodes were part of a pilot of seeing how that would be, and we sent it out for feedback, and it was well received. So we got a green light, and initially we planned to do a podcast once a month, and then as time went on, I felt I have more capacity. And I wanted to explore doing duos and see what would emerge in doing duos. And also, some people say that it's to reach deeper level of depth is possible when there are duos. So there are benefits of having duos, and there are benefits of doing trios. So it brings different qualities. It allows for different conversations to emerge when there is a duo and a trio. So I was curious. I've done podcasts in the past in duo, so I knew I could do that. And that's how it came about. So now we do every other episode duo solo.
Okay, got it. That's the patterning. I understand.
Yeah,
I understand.
Ish. So 50% duo, 50% solo. That's the patterning.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, thank you. Let me see. Yeah, I mean, I have some preferences around different things, but I guess generally the podcast is my favorite podcast that I listen to, yeah, I mean, I don't know it's the frequency, but even once a week, I would definitely listen. I find it very valuable.
So one question I have, or let me read what you wrote. What makes this podcast worth listening to for you? The podcast gives me a taste of what it means to live the diamond approach. I'm beginning to feel what it is like to embody the teaching through a lived life by hearing how the teachers hold themselves and the experiences they have.
Mm-hmm.
And then I asked, do you have any particular topics that you would like us to explore on the podcast? I want to hear and feel how teachers uniquely experience themselves. I'm interested in better understanding the pearl as compared to individual consciousness. When was the first time you experienced the pearl? What was that like? How do you experience the pearl in other people? Actually, the newest episode with Britta, we addressed that. Have you heard the new episode with Britta?
No, I haven't.
It was released yesterday. So in that episode, we actually addressed that. It was from your question that I ventured into that.
Oh, great. Yeah. That makes me happy.
Yeah. Anything you want to add to that, or?
No. Does it make sense?
100%. Totally.
Okay, good.
I mean, I've already riffed on it, mate.
Good. Yeah.
And then please mention the top 3 elements you like about this podcast. Anything you want more of. And then your answer is coming as you are and continuously opening to what is here now, moving deep with curiosity into various topics. I love the focus on how teachers experience themselves and the world and the hard or esoteric topics. Yeah.
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 And we've been traversing that ourselves. Huh?
That's true. Yeah, that's definitely true.
In real time.
In real time.
Yeah.
Wow. This was sweet.
Oh man, this was beyond sweet, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
Wow, fantastic. I'm so happy to have connected with you, my brother. I'm so, thrilled to meet you, and
Yes.
love to stay in touch.
Yeah. Me too. That would be fun. And
Mm.
I feel that we'll meet in person at some point at Alomar, some retreat or something.
That's definitely. I mean, we're both same age, and if we remain in the school, definitely we will meet,
Yeah.
and hopefully soon. You know,
Yeah.
we're in Austin,
Yeah.
Texas. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Cool. If I ever come to the US, I'll come for a visit. Yeah.
Oh, I'd love that.
100%.
Yeah.
My pleasure.
All right, Wazee.
Okay, man. That was 90 minutes, real quick. Yeah. Wonderful.
Wow.
Thank you for coming on and sharing, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. This was a gift. Precious.
So precious.
All right.
Okay, my brother. Till next time, huh? Ciao.